Good afternoon! Hey, welcome in, everybody. Happy Monday. How's everybody doing?
Fine.
Yeah, fine?
Fine.
Oh, so you had a long weekend. It's a Fan Golf Classic week.
Hey!
10th annual Fan Golf Classic. Brought to you by Autotown GMC out at Langdon Farms this Thursday. The heater apparently will be turned off for that day. I was looking at I've been hawking the weather, right? I've just been, it's more vulture-y than a hawk. No, I've not been hawk-doing the weather. Hawk-doing. I've not been spitting on that thing. But I've been looking, and it's like 100, and then we get like in the 90s, and then Thursday's like 84.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? And then furnace back on for the weekend. We call in a few favors every now and then.
Yeah. If it makes you feel any better, I will be going from 84 on Thursday to 117 on Friday.
The surface of the you're going to Vegas for Summer League.
Yeah.
That I saw they got up to 120 yesterday.
Record high yesterday.
Sweet. The
Record high in Las Vegas.
Well, and I saw this
God,
because heat wave happening all over.
Heat dome.
All over. I saw that a man died riding his motorcycle across Death Valley.
Yeah.
Where it was 128 degrees, and I was like,
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. They flirted with an all-time record high. We talked about this last week over the weekend. It didn't get there, but...
Well, I'll call it the all-time record because, again, I don't believe the weather records from, was it 1913? Sorry, not going to believe it.
But also...
Hey, didn't we have this chat before about the old mercury thermometer and when it was
that's
invented?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Don't. You're
saying
gaslighting me.
The mercury was different in 1913?
You're gaslighting me.
It was in retrograde?
Yeah, you're gaslighting me right now. It's not going to work, Russ. I'm not going to, not going to take it.
We did, when I was younger, drive like tangentially through Death Valley.
Yeah.
And the thing we did back then, because we were lunatics, is you bought those giant blocks of ice and you sat on them. We had an open top Jeep. Yeah.
I'm not even going to go there.
Yep.
I don't even know where to go there.
Yep.
But that. Okay.
That wouldn't work for me because I got a hot ass.
It's one hot piece of ace. That Veronica Vaughn.
So hot. All right. Well, we're going all over the place. Everybody have a good 4th? Good 4th of July.
Indeed. My dogs had a full-on panic attack.
That's not good.
It was bad.
No.
I preempted it by getting drugs.
Ooh.
I got some puppy downers.
I was going to say, what'd you do for the dogs?
Yeah. No.
I just went to bed. I got some barbiturates and just. Dogs were barking.
Dogs were barking. I didn't care. No, I got some puppy downers for them, and it mellowed them out a little bit, but
not good.
Not good. I had to. I pulled the puppy bed into the office with me and wrapped him in a little thunder blanket.
Oh, Thunder Buddies.
Yeah, that seemed to work. I tried to do it earlier and he was not having it. But after the little downer and a little tight blanket wrap, he just sat there next to me, and that was enough. But yeah, people were ornery with the fireworks.
Yeah, well, it's 4th of July.
Night.
It's and the further towards the outskirts you get, the
later
deeper into the night it goes.
And then it went on the 5th, and then the 6th.
Oh,
and I almost went outside with my own fireworks.
You don't have them. Oh. And it was so hot. Like
Let me introduce you to my friend 338.
Yeah. Kirk on the YouTube stream
off 6 times.
Says that 4th of July on the coast was so busy.
Yeah,
dude, it was a madhouse.
time.
So I live in the Rock Creek neighborhood there.
On the way to the coast.
On the way to the coast.
Yes.
So for those that don't know where that is, Hillsborough Stadium.
Yeah.
So like Cornelius Pass exit where the Hillsborough Stadium is, traffic was backed up beyond that going westbound on Highway 26.
Ooh, rough.
Beyond Cornelius Pass. That was both the 4th and the 5th.
Yikes.
Man. Why?
Yeah, because everybody's just trying to escape the heat, trying to get to the coast.
Which is such a weird thing to think that going to the coast is cooler.
Yeah.
Well, it is.
I know, but I mean, like, it's such a weird thing to think about. Like, you don't normally go, oh, let's go to the beach to get cooler.
Yeah. It was a nightmare. So, I hope everybody beat the heat in their own ways. We found our way around it.
That does explain the traffic southbound on 99.
Yeah.
On the 4th, going to the beach.
Everybody's just trying to get out of town, and plus fireworks on the beach, all that stuff. Yeah, everybody wants to do that.
I've never had the desire to do that.
We did 4th of July parade on the 4th on Thursday.
Oh, yeah. How'd that go?
It was a great day, but I saw something that I need to bring to the people. All the kids, they sit on the curb, right? All the floats go by. Here's the rule, right? Always be at the beginning of the parade route because everybody's so excited to get rid of their candy.
Mm-hmm.
You just get handfuls just thrown at you, right? So we're near the beginning of the parade route, and the kids are getting candy thrown at them. All of a sudden, this woman with her grandchildren, she was about mid to late 50s, right? She had grandkids that were like 7 to, I'll say like 5 to 9 years old, right? We'll go right in the middle, 7 years old. There's about 4 of them. This woman, I kid you not, she was boxing out other kids on we had elbows were up. Okay. It was great form.
Yeah.
But she was sliding kids out of the way. She was just like when candy was thrown, it was just like she was all over it. And we're sitting there looking at her like, what is going on here? Like,
was she taking it and delivering it to another child? Or
no,
was this for
she was
her?
just putting it into like her grandkids' bags.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a street full of children.
Yeah.
And then we have there's kids on the float, and she's like clapping her hands like, me.
Going full seal.
Okay.
I'm open.
Kid goes back. He's got candy. She goes, no, I don't want that one. Get something else. And the kid's like, I have candy in my hand.
Yeah.
Like okay. So obviously, we were at the group of families. One of the mothers in the group, she goes up and she's like, hey, like what's going on?
What you doing?
And she's like, well, I'm not stealing it from other kids. And she goes, well, they can't get to it.
Yeah.
You're not taking it out of their hand directly.
Yeah.
But you are boxing children out.
Easy there, Sheriff of Candyham.
And obviously, like when you're talking like the age range of kids that were with her, obviously old enough to get their own candy.
Right.
Like that's part of the fun.
Sounds like somebody needed a good hip check into the boards.
Yeah. Well, in one of the parts that I found hilarious was that one of my buddies who lives in Brooklyn now, his son had come out to stay with his grandparents out here. And randomly, they were walking by, and they posted up, like, right in between where we were and the other group. And it was just he's, like, 9 years old. And it's first time in Oregon by himself, first 4th of July parade in Oregon by himself. And he's sitting there getting boxed out by this old lady. Like, I'm wondering what this kid is going to go back to New York and tell his friends. Like,
you wouldn't believe.
Dude, you think New Yorkers are pushy?
Yeah.
You should have seen this old bag at the 4th of July parade in Hillsborough. Like, she was moving me. She hip checked
Somebody
me.
needed to go full Robin Lopez. Steven Adams. Go get the offensive rebound.
It was great.
Go clear some space.
It was great. In all of it, I'm just sitting back watching in awe. Okay. I mean, the grand scheme of things, our kids got their bounty. All the kids got their bounty, and I just like the other parents that were in disbelief. I'm like, you've never been to a Blazer game and watched the T-shirt cannon, because the things people will do for free stuff,
is ridiculous.
I was like, she's not alone.
Or the foul ball at a baseball game.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I was like, free things. People will do crazy stuff.
Yeah.
For anything that's free.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw it on the 4th of July.
See, I don't understand. What's so hard about just keeping to your spot where you're at? Confine yourself to that space.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and grab the candy that comes your direction.
Well, how about just let the kids do it?
Or that. There's that too.
That one is more of the just let the kids do it. Like if some strays come, like you lean over.
I might lean down. Yeah, grab myself a little root beer barrel.
Yeah, you toss it to kids. But what are we doing? Ball. It was like, golly.
She's really hard up for all them now and laters, huh?
It was like watching Von Wafer play for the Blazers. He's just sitting there. Ball, I want to shoot it. Just give me the ball. I'll shoot. Other than that, it was a great fourth.
See, this is where being confrontational is sometimes more fun, Dusty.
Yeah, I mean, her justification was, I'm not stealing it from the kids, and I was just like, oh god. She cooled it down after that.
Oh, she did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Good. But boy, it was an adventure early.
She just wanted to see what she could get away with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, other than that, I found water on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It was, when it's hot like that, you gotta find water.
Yeah.
Gotta find water.
We went out. We
went to a Taylor Swift birthday party on the 4th.
How many of those have
one
you
of my
been to
buddies?
now?
A lot.
Didn't you throw one?
My daughter. So I was equipped. I had I wore
you knew what this was like.
bald eagle and a flight suit shirt, and then after I got out of the pool, put on my Taylor Swift shirt, and so I was ready.
There you go.
I was locked and loaded.
Okay.
And then on Saturday we went up to the Wilson River. Do you have a little river time?
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Have a little river time. Let me tell you,
Little river band.
boy.
Reminiscing.
Everybody was on the river.
There you go.
Everybody was on the river.
Yeah.
And like you drive by the spots that you used to go to when you were in high school, and you're like, some bad decisions were being made there.
Barton
And
to Carver was probably just bumper to bumper.
Oh yeah, it was just boats all over on the Clackamas for sure.
Got to stick to those rivers and lakes that you're used to.
Yep. Yeah, don't go chasing waterfalls.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
That water's colder than you think.
It
Which
was
probably
cold.
would be nice.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. All in all, solid weekend.
Nice.
Solid
Nice.
weekend.
We got ourselves a room at the downtown Embassy Suite Saturday night to get out of the heat. Go hit the pool there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Hey.
Walked a block down to get some Voodoo Donuts. I had never been actually physically to a Voodoo Donut before.
Was it packed?
We waited outside for a few minutes, but it wasn't
Okay.
bad.
How fast did that icing melt?
Yeah.
Well, we just it
Was
was
it
like
at
a
night?
block and a half walk back to our room,
Oh.
so it was pretty quick.
I thought you
know.
were saying you ate it in a block and a half.
Which I mean,
good.
Well, we only got a half dozen between the three of us.
all right.
Yeah,
So how many did you have?
2
Mm.
All right.
right then.
All right.
Yeah.
Then we had dinner downstairs at Mother's. I didn't realize Mother's was the restaurant down at the bottom of the hotel.
Look at
okay.
that.
Yeah, nice little dinner.
Times are good.
What we have here?
Well, wife had the chicken parmesan, was delightful, and I went with the double down where you can pick any of the entrees. You get 2 half-size portions
Ooh.
because I couldn't make up my mind.
Oh,
what
get
were we
outta
splitting between?
town.
Yeah, so I went with the pot roast made from slow roasted short ribs and chicken and dumplings, which is great for when it's 95 degrees outside.
Yeah,
But-
you went like the heaviest food possible.
yeah. But we were inside in the AC and just heading out of there and getting in the elevator to go head back upstairs,
I
Yeah,
can't-
so you never walked outside?
except to go to Voodoo Donuts.
Yeah, but I mean after that dinner,
Nope.
after that meal. See, that's the
inside.
key right there.
Yeah.
Is that Danny, I'm so with you. I just sat there and I had a look of like, oh God.
like my stomach.
Because
was,
even like walking like a block after that, you walk outside and it's all hot, you're like, oh,
Just
buddy.
walking over to the elevator.
mistakes were made.
You were just all AC all the time.
Yep, it was good too.
Look
It was
at that.
Really good.
All right. I hope everybody had a great 4th. Hope everybody did.
Got all my fingers still, so that's a plus.
Hey, that is good.
Yeah.
That is good.
There you go.
Seemed kind of tame. Outside of that, you guys see the pallet fire on the 4th in North Portland?
No.
I think it was North Portland.
Mm-mm.
By
Oh,
pallet
no.
fire, do you mean homeless camp or?
No, like an actual pallet facility caught
Oh
on fire.
no,
That
that's
was a big one.
yeah, that's kind of like the gas facility catching on fire. It's a bad place to have it happen.
You don't want that to happen.
No.
Don't want that to
A
happen.
lot of things are flammable in there,
But
like everything.
I didn't hear, well, and then we're probably going to get the flood of text. Well, I didn't hear that many awful 4th of July fireworks stories this year outside of BYU, which Do you see their firework display?
No.
Oh, something went awry. People got injured.
Oh.
And they had in their football stadium. They had big fireworks thing. And like, here's the deal too: is that you're sitting there like, oh, drunk idiot. No, it's BYU. Nobody was drunk.
Yeah, everybody was stone cold sober.
Sober in there.
It might have been soaked, but
They're drinking their LaCroix and just sitting there getting blasted by mortars. What is going on here?
That's because somebody down there snuck in a Bartles and James or something and couldn't handle it.
Just one guy. Yeah, but I hope everybody's okay there. I mean, that was so not too much going on as far as the wild fireworks stories. No, very few Terry situations, which you know what I'm talking about with Terry. Remember a couple years ago, the guy who was like he was in a wheelchair and he was lighting off the firework, and everybody's like, Terry, gotta move, Terry, gotta move, Terry.
Yeah.
I got an update to Terry.
Oh.
Yeah. A news reporter
Found Terry?
followed up and is like, hey, I'm happy to report Terry's okay. It's like,
Terry not dead.
It took you 2 years to track Terry down?
What kind of an investigative reporter are you?
What are we doing here? But Terry's good. Terry looked like he was doing really well in the picture that
All right.
Yeah. This one said, in case you're wondering, Memphis' own Back It Up Terry is doing much better these days. Happy 4th. And it has a picture of him. And Terry has leaned into his fame. He has a Sprinter van that says, put it in reverse, Terry, back it up. You too close. Plastered on the back of it. So Terry's doing well.
Oh my God.
It's like graphics. He got his van wrapped, and it's like got fireworks on it. It says,
it's not
back it up, Terry.
It's not the van you're thinking of. Like it's a Mercedes
Sprinter van.
Yeah, the high-end van.
Does Terry have his own walk-up music for 4th of July? He comes out to back that ass up.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, but I was happy to see that report that Terry's doing
Yeah,
okay.
you know what? Now that I think about it, I didn't see any. Well, that's not true.
Uh-oh.
There was a video that I saw. A man unalived himself.
Oh, no.
Not on purpose.
Again, our algorithm's different.
Yeah, well, he had a Uncle Sam hat and like went full America, and he was dancing around. It was like he was 41 years old, and he lit a firework, like stuck it into the top of the hat.
Okay.
And it
No.
did what you think it did. It blew up.
Went boom.
Killed him instantly. Yeah. So I would say I didn't remember any, but yeah, I remember that one coming across the timeline.
That wasn't local, though, right?
No, alcohol wasn't.
Yeah, I was
involved.
talking local.
Yeah,
I was talking. Yeah, we all go to the local ones. We didn't. I mean, of course, idiots are going to happen.
But yeah, but
I mean,
other than that, I didn't hear. I haven't seen any other ones beyond that.
I mean, Florida. Probably
Florida
just has a
always,
lot of them. You know, just
again, that's
on account of
that's sorting out the
Florida.
week.
Boy, you say weak, I say dumb.
Same thing.
Okay.
Mentally
mentally.
Oh.
See, imagine a place like Florida, they have to list all the 4th of July injuries like they do garage sales in the weekend in the paper. You know what I mean? Just kind of a big old classified ad section.
God, on top of the obituaries at the old folks' homes, not enough ink.
It's not funny, guys.
It's funny.
Do they divide those up by cause of death?
They just group them together.
Here we go. Here's the broken hips.
Take you guys anywhere. All right. You ready to get to it?
Sure, like an ambulance in an old folks' home. Slow and with the lights off.
Oh, good Lord.
Well, why don't we make like a tree and get our butts out of here?
Andrew Nemec will join us at 1. We'll talk some recruiting. Big weekend for the Ducks on the recruiting trail. Are they done? Bum, bum, bum. And what is with this whole Rick Neuheisel report that's out there? Shocker. Ant Edwards, we got Team USA talk because he's on one. Related, Kevin Durant is very sad.
Yeah.
And he wants you all to know. And we got, All-Star game. Major League Baseball All-Star game. It's actually got something really cool. This isn't like, snubs. Who cares?
No.
If
There's
you got,
cool stuff happening, and we got some cool home run derby contestants.
We do.
Yeah.
including Bobby Witt Jr.,
Yeah.
which does he know he doesn't have to run?
Yeah.
Like, it's just him swinging the bat?
We'll
All
see.
right, well, we'll find out. He's going up against the polar bear again. Pete Alonso's back in it. But I found a couple cool nuggets out of the All-Star
I
game
like nuggets.
that I think is pretty badass for the future of baseball if they do it right. But that's a big if. All right, but where we got to start this bad boy off, let's catch everybody up what's been going on in the NBA, free agency, trades becoming official, all of the stuff that we thought was going to happen actually came to
there you
fruition
go.
over the weekend. Danny Dusty on the Fan. Denny Avdija is officially a Portland Trailblazer. That happened over the weekend.
Yep. Made official on the 6th, earlier in the day, because the Blazers got lucky and got in and out very quickly with the paperwork. Their second-round transactions and Denny Avdija were some of the first to be announced by the league. Denny's press conference will be today at 2-ish at the Blazers practice facility. Where he'll be introduced.
How much FOMO do you have on that one?
I'm irritated.
Yeah. And we will have that in the 2 o'clock hour. Jeff Rust is going to be feverishly trying to turn around sound of the Denny Avdija presser.
Oh, really?
2. Yeah. If he has anything to say. And by feverishly, I mean about as quickly as a man who had 2 hearty meals on a 100-degree day can turn something around, you know?
Yes.
It's going to be at your pace.
Yeah.
At your pace, but feverishly for it. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
We all got to have goals.
I'm usually sweating in here anyway most every day, so.
But that'll be at 2 o'clock where he gets announced. It does appear that things have slowed down in the NBA transactionally, outside of just everything that had been done during that moratorium time, and the paperwork actually being filed. One thing that we did find out, though, is that LeBron James did take that big old pay cut that we all assumed he would, in that he is taking $3 million less over 2 years, so $1.5 million, right?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
So he's got an opt-out clause.
Yeah.
And so if they don't get it here, he can make it back next year.
Well, and also, what did Bronny sign for?
Was it $4 million guaranteed?
I think it was 3. I think it was a $3 million deal.
That's where he gave it. He gave his son.
It's staying in the James family.
He gave his son an allowance, basically. He got $500,000 up front too.
Bronny did.
Bronny did.
All right.
Which is kind of interesting. People are like, oh my God, he got $500,000 up front. I'm like, that's less than his NIL deal.
That ain't. Yeah, that's true.
He's probably got that in his pocket right now.
Yeah. So I thought it was very funny. But
4 years, 7.9. So it'll be
not all that guaranteed.
Yeah.
I think 4 is guaranteed.
Yeah.
If I remember right.
Under $1.2 million in his first year. So his dad taking the $1.5 million pay cut, and he gets 1.2.
Interesting.
In year 1.
Yeah, he was actually held out of the Summer League game yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a few coaches and folks around the league, agents and such, about that little group chat. And there was some angst of, do you know how many second-round guys would play with their knee falling off for an opportunity to play in the NBA, and you got a guaranteed contract at the 55th pick? Like, they're always like, well, the people get mad at him because he's only there because of his dad, blah, blah, blah. They're going to be pissed at him because he's not doing the things that you need to do as a second-round pick.
Well, and look, I saw LeBron's comments yesterday, and I actually kind of agree with them on that. LeBron and Bronny don't give a rip about what anybody thinks. And there's a lot of things that are being said that are pretty unfair to Bronny James.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, what I appreciate LeBron saying is that, look, his dad is famous. He was wealthy growing up. It's not like he had to grind, but he had a passion to want to be in the NBA and grind his butt off to get there. A lot of the things where the unfair critiques of Bronny are coming from are people that are jealous because, look, nothing that he did at USC indicated that he should have been a draftable player this year. In his high school career, I mean, I'll say it again. When I saw him at the LSI, I never thought he was the best player on the floor at any time at the Les Schwab Invitational when he came here. Mm-hmm. But he is still a really damn good basketball player.
It doesn't mean he's not good.
And that doesn't mean he doesn't have a spot in the NBA. But to what you said, with people going, he's a second-round pick that is not playing in his second Summer League game, and it's not like he cut the NBA California Summer League by storm, and he had 4 points.
On 2 of 9.
2 of 9 shooting. Well, Dalton Connect went 3 of 13.
3 of 13 or 3 of 12?
3 of 13.
Okay.
No, that's what I saw. Yeah. I didn't watch the game. You probably did.
I did. It was very funny that everyone that I talked to about Bronny, they're like, we don't care that he's in the league.
No.
It's the guaranteed contract and already sitting out a summer league game when like he is, for all intents and purposes, taking somebody else's spot.
Yep.
And nepotism is feeding into that.
Yeah.
That's going to rub people the wrong way to begin with. Is it that big of a deal? No. But when all of a sudden that same guy isn't doing the stuff that you're supposed to do because of who your dad is, it's going to piss a lot of people off. And there are a lot of player development guys. There are a lot of college coaches. There are NBA assistant coaches and trainers, folks that I have talked to over the last 24 hours that are all just like, are you kidding me? You're getting rest in summer league as a 55th overall pick? You're out of your bleeping mind.
That didn't make a run in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
That didn't go on a workout tour where you were working out for every single team throughout
18
the
different
draft
stops
process.
in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all of these things are, and I understand those frustrations, but it's like every time the kid farts, it's breaking news on ESPN. And
That's the other thing.
I saw the awful announcing comp, and I look, they're rightfully getting roasted for it because they said ESPN has found their new Tim Tebow in Bronny James. And it's like,
to an extent, it's true, but not to that level. That level was insane.
Tim Tebow also won 2 national titles and a Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people know
And
this, but
that
he
had
started
a fan base.
He started. Well, Bronny has a huge fan base,
Not like that.
But Tebow also started for the Broncos, and everybody could just pat and bat away Tim Tebow's success all he wants. He won a playoff game, whether that throw was good or not, wasn't.
Still got there.
Still got there, and he was a starting quarterback in the NFL. Like it's not the same.
No,
it's nowhere near
the
same.
gravitas was insane.
Now, people getting sick of the over coverage, I totally understand that, and I get that, but don't compare him to Tim Tebow, because now Tim Tebow's out here catching strays going, wait a minute. Does anybody forget I was one of the best college football players of all time?
Yeah.
Like
where Bronny wasn't even the best guard on his own team.
Yeah. So, all right. That's talking a lot of transactions over the weekend.
Yep.
But there was an actual transaction of note that is new, and it matters, damn it. In the way that the team did it, I just slow clapped all the way through DeMar DeRozan. Next is Russ with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Stanford's. This classic American steakhouse has exactly what you've been craving. Visit them in Clackamas, Tannisbourne, or online at stanfords.com. First on The Fan, after winning back-to-back national championships with UConn and turning down the Lakers head coaching job, Huskies head coach Dan Hurley has signed a new deal that will keep him in stores through the 2029-30 season. The new deal is for 6 years and $50 million plus performance-based incentives. Hurley turned down $70 million over 6 years in Los Angeles. Over in baseball, Royal shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. announced he'll participate in next week's Home Run Derby. The 4th player in the 8-player field joins Orioles shortstop Gunnar Henderson, Phillies third baseman Alec Boehm, and Mets first baseman Pete Alonso. In the NBA, ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reporting free agent forward Haywood Highsmith has agreed to a 2-year, $11 million deal to return to the Heat, and Woj also reporting free agent center Daniel Tice signing a 1-year deal with the Pelicans. For sports scores and stories in 30 minutes, I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The afternoon round of the 10th Annual Fan Golf Classic, presented by Autotown GMC, is sold out. And the morning round is filling up fast. Sign up now to play with 1080 The Fan.
Summer is here.
A move of note that is new over the weekend was DeMar DeRozan, a Sacramento King.
Indeed.
I love that move for Sacramento. I think it'll be a really fun team now. You pair him with Sabonis, Fox. It appears like that'll be the Kings are going to be back after last year, a step back after a great, was it 22-23 campaign?
Yeah, well, you had Mike Brown named as coach of the year, and they finished with the third seed and progressed into the playoffs after missing the playoffs for 17 straight years.
And we knew that they were going to try to be active, and they were trying to get in on a bunch of moves. You and I off the air were talking, and I said, what about Sacramento? You're like, they're working on stuff, something. Something.
They were chasing Brandon Ingram. They had called about Jeremy Grant. And it became apparently clear that there was going to be multiple suitors for DeMar DeRozan. And the Kings wanted to get stuff resolved. They don't want to be one of the teams that's left out, Lakers. And to an extent, the Pelicans right now. There's probably a half dozen teams in the league that are sitting there going, okay, we're not done yet. We need, trade season needs to start, but it's becoming more and more dire for certain teams if they want to make real improvements, which we'll talk about Jeremy later on. But the Kings decided that they would go for DeMar DeRozan and not get rid of both Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes, because they need the salary slots if they're going to make one other trade. And there's talk about them going. Kyle Kuzma is a guy that they've looked at in the past and they've tried to get in the past. I wouldn't be surprised if they went and tried to go get Kuzma as well, so they can move Monk back to that 6-man role and then run out a lineup with Fox and DeMar and Kuzma and Sabonis, and then you slot in whoever you want there, whether it's Keon Ellis or another defensively. So they're a little bit bigger. They make a little more sense, and they're more explosive. But DeMar, everybody's like, well, he doesn't really fit. He's older. It's like, he's a good basketball player. Getting good basketball players on your team, and this is where this whole thing of if you're not a title winner, you shouldn't do anything. And it's like, no, the Kings missed the playoffs for 17 years. Yeah. Getting good basketball players to play with your other good basketball players is a good thing, and you should celebrate that. You should want that.
And you have young, really good players still.
And Fox and Sabonis, they're running into their primes. This is not. It ended up costing them Harrison Barnes, Chris Duarte, and 2 second-round picks.
Yeah, former Duck Chris Duarte is going to Chicago along with the 2 second rounds and the 2031 first-round pick swap with the Spurs, which in 2031 the Spurs are going to be really good.
Yeah, and the Kings probably won't be.
Yeah,
but that's also 6 years down the road.
Yeah.
You deal with it then.
Yeah, you run into it at that point. And look, that is a move that I think, just think of it in Portland's terms, that's the kind of move that we wished the Blazers would have pulled the trigger on when Dame and CJ were entering their prime years, right? And so it also signifies Chicago is fully out on this year. That might be, still Brooklyn, still Washington as the worst teams in the NBA this year. I mean, look.
Portland's right there.
They're not far behind.
But, the worst team in basketball on paper is going to be Brooklyn and Washington. Detroit, Portland.
Still got the Hornets in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Hornets will probably be there. The Spurs are going to be better. The addition of Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes, I've seen some people well, they could make the playoffs. I'm like, let's chill a little bit on that. Although,
they'll still luck out and win the damn lottery.
Well, here's the thing is they have the capacity to look, here's a proof of concept of what a good point guard and a good wing will look like alongside Victor Wembanyama. And then at the trade deadline, they can just pull the ripcord and steer into the skid, because I don't know, Cooper Flagg's out there playing with Team USA and looking like he belongs at 17 years old.
Hey,
maybe getting a chance at that guy is worth it.
Flunk for Flagg.
Yeah.
They got to be careful with that.
Yeah, capture the flag.
Capture the flag.
Capture
I like
flag.
that.
Yeah.
I like that. So we've got that move was, I think it's a smart move for Sacramento for right now.
Yeah.
Go and try to win.
It was
right
not
now.
that pricey.
And I saw that. Was it StatMuse threw out that the 2 leaders in fourth quarter scoring, in crunch time scoring, were Fox and DeRozan last year. When the rubber meets the road, they got 2 guys now that they can lean on. And by the way, Domantas Sabonis as well. The best thing, though, was they brought out DeMar DeRozan because the California Summer League is being played in the Golden One Center.
Partially Golden One Center, partially Chase Center, which is still so stupid.
They are very far apart.
Yes.
But they brought out DeMar DeRozan.
The owner, Vivek Ranadive, brought out
24-hour fitness. Let's go.
Brought out DeMar DeRozan and Goodwin, who was with him because they were
Aaron Goodwin, his agent,
actually signing the contract. That's the reason he can make that appearance is because the contract has been signed.
Not like us.
Yeah, to Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us, the same music video that debuted on the 4th of July featuring DeMar DeRozan.
And the crowd went crazy. It was
rock star stuff.
Some of the best stuff. Like all that was missing was like a Conor McGregor strut from DeMar DeRozan, and it would have been the perfect way to unveil your newest piece to everybody that was there. So I'll give a golf clap to Sacramento.
Hey, Kings did it right.
I mean,
respect.
Yeah. Where does that put them in the West? I don't know. It's pretty loaded, but you can make a run now, and if things break your way, you're going to be in that conversation. That's for damn sure.
Something maybe
and he didn't go to L.A.
Yeah, that's the best part about this. Something we can maybe talk about later. Who's the best team in California in the NBA? Because I think when you really start thinking about it, with all the changes, it's pretty interesting.
My gut wants to say the Kings.
It could be the Kings.
But I think the Clippers might be second. But you don't have Paul George.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. I mean, you got to hope Kawhi is healthy.
Mm-hmm. Which he's now saying that he just got healthy 2 weeks ago.
And Paul George said Kawhi Leonard is the funniest guy on Team USA. What?
He's a fun guy, man. Fun guy.
Are we just all missing everything about Kawhi Leonard? Do we just not know?
He just plugs in when he's around us.
Boy.
that poor man is never going to laugh in public again.
No, and he shouldn't after that. There's no need. There's no need to. Just keep them all internally. Just chuckle to yourself.
It's such a great laugh, though. It's fantastic.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why they think he's the funniest because he's just a fun dude and he makes everybody laugh. When we all have those friends.
Yeah,
there's infectious laugh guy,
and then they sneak a joke in that you don't see coming, and it just kills.
You're just like, what the heck? All right, there's one other NBA move that there's a big hang up right now, and it involves the New Orleans Pelicans and Brandon Ingram. Next on the Fan. All right, this popped up today. Brandon Ingram has been a name that's been floated around, and he's even been linked to the Portland Trailblazers in a few like rumor mill type stuff. Of New Orleans is making no secret about it. He's available.
Yeah,
you can come and you can get him if you want him. But there are hangups that for the return from Brandon Ingram, and a team that has emerged as potentially a front runner for Brandon Ingram was the Atlanta Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have the hangup being, one, Atlanta does not want to give Brandon Ingram a contract extension.
That's the thing that nobody wants to do. And this is what we talked about with the CBA, is the way this is going. The guys that are max level contract players, I was actually talking to an executive about this yesterday, and this is a thing that is happening, and the reality that's going to set in for, let's use a local example. For Shaedon Sharpe, he's going into his extension eligible year in year 3, right? If he doesn't go out and ball his butt off, he's going to find himself in that extension world that's not sexy. Because going forward, players who aren't max players aren't going to get max deals. That's just the reality.
Whoa.
Now, you can say, well, what about like a guy like Franz Wagner? Well, you could say that Franz Wagner got his max deal because he was a little unhappy with where he was in the pecking order, and the Magic decided that on the fun max that they could pay him. But I don't think anybody looks at that as a issue and goes, oh, that's a problem because it's not the supermax. But a guy like Ingram, he wants $50+ million a year. He's not worth $50 million a year. He's nowhere near that, and that's problem number one. Sorry,
that is great. That's a great point because it lays out why Atlanta doesn't want to give him that extension, or anybody else wants to give him that extension. The other one is that New Orleans is asking for either a young, up and coming potential star, or they want Clint Capella.
Mm-hmm.
And Atlanta's like, no.
Well,
we don't want to part ways with any of those. We know that you're up against it right now, and you want to get rid of him, and it's not a tenable situation in New Orleans right now.
I think you said the same thing about Capella, but here's the problem: the Hawks are now the Brooklyn Nets redux. Remember, there was a whole deal about the Nets not being willing to tank and pivot and be bad. Well, now they're going to be the worst team in basketball intentionally because they got their own picks back. They got 2 of their own picks back in 25 to 26 so that they can actually tank in back-to-back years and try to rebuild. The Hawks don't have that. The Spurs own their 2025 pick unprotected.
Yeah.
So they're not going to deal Clint Capella. They're not going to deal they're not going to deal Trae Young now because nobody wants him. I mean, nobody. Nobody is interested in him. And I've seen some Hawks supporters and some Hawks media folks who have said, well, Trae Young's never actually been available. He's been available for 8+ months.
Yeah.
And very available.
Well, that is why New Orleans instead went down the DeJounte Murray route, and that deal with Atlanta. Mm-hmm. DeJounte Murray goes to New Orleans. Dyson Daniels, EJ Liddell, and Larry Nance Jr., as well as 2 first-round picks, go back to Atlanta instead. Like, this is going to be it's fascinating to me to see how New Orleans can navigate and massage this.
They have no center. Well, that's not true. They just signed Daniel Tice this morning to be their only center, which he's not a starting center in the NBA. Let's be honest. Solid rotation guy, sure, and maybe he's even on the edge of that now. But there have been rumors about the Pelicans kicking around DeAndre Ayton, that they've tried to look at a deal with the Cavs for Jared Allen. And the Blazers, I don't think that organizationally that they are Brandon Ingram fans. I don't think that that's the kind of player that they like.
I don't think he would be great, especially if you're not going to give him a contract extension, if you're not going to give him the Supermax on a 1-year deal. Even though Blazers are not trying to win basketball games, it's not good for the growth of the young players around if you have a guy who's trying to prove I am Supermax worthy, and you're not trying to win very many games, and you're trying to develop the young guys that you have. That's not conducive to bringing in a guy like Brandon Ingram. Talent aside, because he is still a very talented player.
He's a good player. Like he's 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Like that's a good player. But the team that ultimately moves for him is going to have a deal, I think, basically in place. And I think it's going to be for like 35 million, 36 million a year. It's either that or they're going to get the chance to pay him with bird rights, and then the reality is going to punch him in the face.
So early what emerged was that there were 3 teams that were interested in Brandon Ingram that kind of stood head and shoulders above everybody. 2 of them have been eliminated.
Yeah.
One, the Hawks, we just talked about that. They did the deal, DeJounte Murray deal instead. And
Sacramento.
that was a big hang-up. Sacramento out. They got DeMar DeRozan. The third one is the Cleveland Cavaliers emerged right away. And you mentioned...
There have been talks between those 2 teams for a while.
Now, you mentioned Portland, DeAndre Ayton. Is there a potential for Portland getting in on that third team and saying, all right, if Ingram goes up to Cleveland, Jared Allen comes here, DeAndre Ayton to New Orleans?
I don't think so, because I think if the Pelicans did a deal where Jared Allen was moving, that they would not accept anything less than getting Jared Allen back.
Dang. Work the magic.
But, again, I have heard the Pelicans, and the Pelicans have done business with the Trailblazers before, obviously, with CJ McCollum. Those established relationships are where deals get made. And I think that's like here's one for you. Michael Winger, who's the GM of the Wizards, with Denny Avdija. Do you know where he came from?
No.
The Clippers.
Oh.
Did they do a deal? One of the first deals Joe Cronin ever did as the interim GM, moving Norman Powell and Robert Covington to the Clippers.
Yeah.
Established relationships are helpful in doing deals. For sure.
Is that your way of doing the windy point? Did you just do the windy point? The Utah Jet windy point?
When you see deals get done, the Blazers have done deals with the Bucks, with the Wizards, with the Clippers, with the Pelicans. Are you noticing that there's a lot of teams that have done deals with the Blazers more recently as opposed to the past?
Hey, there's also the Orlando Magic have always been a team that have seemed like they're on good terms with Portland, and Portland is on good terms with them. How many times have we seen the kind of the percolation of, hey, Portland and Orlando have been talking like that? That's another team that you see. Phoenix is another one that Portland has dealt with. I mean, there's nothing that's going to happen there.
No, but again,
but the relationship
transaction. The difference between this front office and the previous one is that the relationships around the league are a lot better.
Okay. That, you know what? That is very good to hear. That is probably the best news that you can come heading out of this weekend.
Now, are the relationships great between Portland and Golden State and Portland and Miami?
No.
Probably not.
No.
But
who cares?
They don't really have anything that you want right now anyway. So, yeah.
For right now.
For right now.
In 1 hour from now, Denny Avdija will be introduced as the newest Portland Trailblazer. We'll get you that audio as it comes to us. But coming up next, we're going to pivot from the NBA to the world of recruiting. 4th of July, fireworks were going off for the University of Oregon on the recruiting trail, and there's a lot more on the national level. We'll get into a conversation with Andrew Nemec of The Recruiting Show with Andrew Nemec right here on The Fan, and the Director of Recruiting for SB Live. Next is Danny and Dusty on The Fan.
Hey, it's Dusty.
It's Monday afternoon. Hope everybody's having a fantastic segue back into the real world, your work life. Yowzas. Here it is. Hey, wait no longer, though. Autotown GMC presents the 10th Annual Fan Golf Classic out at Langdon Farms Golf Club. July 11th, that is this Thursday. Afternoon round sold out. We have like single-digit, like we're on less than one hand for the morning round. So if you want to get in there, jump on it now. We got Matt's Barbecues back, Victorico's breakfast burritos for the morning crew. It's an awesome event. Come down, hang out with us. The Michelob Ultra driving range is open before you're around. You've got the Doers par 3 6th hole. We're going to be going around all day long in a cart, bags on the back, ready to rock and roll with you guys all day Thursday. So come down if you want to get your foursome in. Get in now at 1080thefan.com. On Thursday, we also have the recruiting show with Andrew Nemec. 7 p.m. You can hear recruiting show with Andrew Nemec every Thursday right here on the Fan. And he's kind enough to join us now. Nemec, how you doing, my dude?
I'm good. I just helped my uncle move, so I'm like sitting in my car still sweating. So it's been a little bit of a rough morning. So this is a nice little break to cool off and relax for a minute.
You are the best nephew ever. It's 100 degrees outside, and Nemec's out there like, yeah, I got you. I'll help you come out. If that says anything about who Andrew Nemec is as a person, right there. Andrew Nemec helping his uncle move on the hottest day of the year here in Portland. It was fireworks on the 4th of July for the University of Oregon as some found it a bit of an upset. DeCorian Moore, the 5-star wide receiver, number one wide receiver in the class of 2025, and many believe is a top 5 prospect across all of high school football out of Duncanville, Texas, pledged to the Oregon Ducks. Nemec, how did this all come about? Because it seemed like everything was trending towards Texas for DeCorian Moore, and he, on the 4th of July, flips to the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, I think a lot of people assume that was kind of the safe route, that he's from Duncanville. It's a powerhouse program in Texas. We've seen this, though, with Dan Lanning and even a little bit, in the previous regime with Cristobal. There was a time when Mater Dei and St. John Bosco in California were pipelines. Tell Danny to cover his ears. They were pipelines to USC, and Oregon's kind of carved out a path there. They just got Jordan Davison. Some people have him as Rivals ranks him as a 5-star running back. He's out of Mater Dei. They've just done a nice job of building inroads to power programs. And when Oregon offers you now, I've talked about this on my show the last couple of weeks, when Oregon offers top prospects now, they want to check out Oregon. They are in that rarefied space with Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia. So Oregon offered DeCorian Moore. He took a few visits. I think the lean towards Texas was a little overstated. I think he always liked Oregon. And then he said, somebody asked him before his commitment, what is the reason you're going to choose the school you choose? And he said, I want to carve my own path. That was a pitch that Oregon gave him, is like, don't stay in state, go do your own thing, be your own guy, be a West Coast guy playing in the Big Ten. I don't know how that works still. It's still a mind blowing fact for me. But and then he said he trusted everyone on the staff. The other key piece here is Coach Sample's father is the coach at Duncanville. So there were inroads there. So that's really how it all came together.
Nemec, how is the recruiting landscape changing as the evolution of cycles has come through now, with NIL being fully instituted, teams moving into new conferences, the knowns are more known and quantified. What's different about the cycles now than the previous iterations over the last confusing 2 or 3 years?
Sure. Well, 2 years ago, I think when it started, or 3 years ago when it started, I just got the sense talking to people that one of the first questions is, how much am I getting paid on a visit? And that was my sentiment. That was my sense of what was going on. I talked to another prominent national recruiting guy and said, am I on the right track here? And he goes, I can't even tell you how many coaches say the number one question is, how much am I getting paid? And now I think there is, within reason, there's sort of a price for how good a player is. There's a standard, there's an understanding of roughly how much a guy will make. And yes, that comes up. Yes, that's still important. But I think guys kind of tier it. Maybe they want to make $80,000 a year and they want to build relationships, so they get their pocket of 4 or 5 schools that are willing to match that number. And then it does come down to relationships and coaching style and playing style and things like that. So I think it's a lot less, that phrase, act like you've been there before. It's kind of like recruits now have been there before. And to be fair to the guys a few years ago who were like, how much am I getting paid? $100,000 a year? Holy cow. They hadn't been there before. So it was new territory.
Now, Nemec, Rick Neuheisel said it on Friday, and it started like making its waves across social media. But I think everybody around here is like, well, yeah, duh. He said Phil Knight is 86, desperately wants a championship, is pumping money into NIL at the University of Oregon.
Okay.
I have long said that was like, oh, no way. Phil Knight wants that. But I've long said that that NIL gets you in the door of homes that you probably wouldn't be before. It can help you close a whole hell of a lot. In the middle, though, you mentioned DeCorian Moore. It was about relationships. It was about building recruiting. Has the actual recruiting aspect of that changed all that much in the world of NIL?
To be honest, I don't think so. I think there's always that kid who's like, I went to the highest bidder, and that still exists. In fact, I ended up throwing away a story that I was doing that was national. It didn't involve Oregon or Oregon State, but the kid was on record, and he was like, here's how much I got offered from one school, here's how much I got offered from another. It's life-changing money for me, and so I picked the school that offered me more money. And I was like, I kind of, even though it's legal, I kind of feel weird writing that. In general, I think NIL matters. Listen, it matters. Like, here's the thing. Guys are getting like a 4-star that's a top 250 kid in the country. They're getting $100,000 a year. That's roughly the going rate. If you're a 5-star left tackle or quarterback or receiver, you might be getting over $1 million a year. That's life-changing money when you're 17 or 18 years old. So I don't begrudge anybody for getting that money. That being said, the relationships, the visits, you still see guys who say, like DeCorian Moore was asked in his pre-commitment interview, what was so cool about Oregon? He's like, man, at first it was the uniforms. Well, where have we heard that before? That has nothing to do with NIL. So all those kind of pillars of recruiting still matter. And I think you put it well, or maybe it was Rick Neuheisel who put it well. I don't know. Maybe it was you who said that it does get you in the door and it can help you close. But at the same time, relationships still matter. How you're going to be used still matters. And you can't just throw 1.5 at a guy, treat him bad, doesn't fit your system, and he can go get that money somewhere else where they do check all the other boxes. So you cannot just throw money at a problem. I do think Oregon's a top 3 program nationally in NIL. I also would caution people that I think it expands beyond Phil Knight. I think there's an oversimplification with Oregon, that Oregon recruits well because of Nike. That generally is not what I found. There's a lot of things that have had to be in place, and maybe the Nike connection, the Nike money helps close things, but at times. But I think it's a dramatic oversimplification to just be like, Phil Knight's getting old, he's throwing a bag at the situation, and look at Oregon go. There's a lot more going on, and I think that really understates how good a job Dan Lanning and his staff are doing.
Now, I saw you retweeted in a quote tweet about an article you wrote a handful of years ago, the infamous Scott Frost quote, right, where it's really hard to recruit to Oregon. What is this staff doing that is so different as opposed to the other iterations of Oregon staffs where, with Chip, it was we're going to squeeze every single ounce of talent we can out of not top 10 recruiting classes. And then we saw with Cristobal, recruiting went up a tick. And now with Lanning, it seems to be on a different planet outside of NIL, of course.
Sure, and I think what's interesting is recruiting has sort of followed the same way as the program has. You had the Rich Brooks years where Oregon was pretty good and had some good years, in a Rose Bowl year in the mid-'90s with the gangrene defense. So they had some success, but nobody thought of Oregon as a power. And then Bellotti came in, and they had some runs, and then they've kind of only now become a true power. You're kind of seeing that in recruiting where it's come in waves. There was a time where getting the best kids out of California wasn't possible. I think there's a multi-tiered answer to why recruiting is doing well. I think a big part of it is that USC and Washington have kind of left some openings. As good as Washington was last year and as historically great as USC has been at times, although it's been a while, USC is not getting all the best kids in California, and there kind of is a vacancy for West Coast power. Oregon has filled that void. Dan Lanning's a relentless recruiter, and Mario was a relentless recruiter, but I like to say Mario recruited like you think an offensive lineman would, where he wanted you to know how hard the work was, and he was a grinder. Dan Lanning kind of just does it in a cool way. They work as hard as anybody else, but nobody talks about Dan Lanning as a relentless recruiter, as in, the guy never sleeps. That was the big thing with Cristobal. Like, he never sleeps. He's always recruiting. Lanning's always recruiting too. We just don't talk about it that way. The other way in which Oregon has really elevated is they're not taking that kind of questionable 5-star, maybe like a Justin Flo. They're getting more of the solidified guys, like a DeCorian Moore, who's a top 5 recruit nationally. They're getting those guys, and they're developing those guys. Oregon just set their record for most drafted players in the NFL with 8. And there were years and there were times, in the Rich Brooks years and the Bellotti years, if they had 8 guys drafted, the next year you'd go, man, the program's gutted. They lost 8 stars. They don't have that many. That's not the case. Oregon's kind of a top 4 projected team for next season across the board. They're deep and they're developing talent. And when you can say, sure, the NIL's in place, sure, Oregon's winning, sure, they bring an SEC approach, but also that other piece right now is they are developing players at a historic rate for the program and putting them into the NFL. That's a major feather in their cap, and is really the biggest difference between Mario and Lanning.
Nemec, who are some kind of guys that are remaining in this recycle that the incoming Big Ten schools are kind of looking at that could be impact players, and who are a couple of guys that you see that of the newcomers to rosters that are going to be impact freshmen?
You mean in terms of the 2025 class?
Yeah.
They are getting so many guys. Like they've tied the record for most 5-stars in a class already. They're still in it for Trey McNutt, who's a 5-star defensive back. They're still in it for Jonah Williams. DeCorian Moore is an electric return man. He's the number 1 receiver in the nation, and we've seen this all the way up into the NFL. Receivers, because of 7-on-7, because high school passing attacks are so much more sophisticated, we are seeing that receivers are kind of ready-made and hitting the ground running a lot. I think DeCorian Moore could be really special. I thought Brandon Finney was a major feather in Oregon's cap. This was a kid from the Northeast, from a school that a few days later had a kid commit to Penn State. It was one of Penn State's schools, and it's as far northeast as you can really get. The kid's out in Maryland. And Oregon showed interest in Brandon Finney, a top 100 prospect nationally, a corner, 6'2", long, athletic. They show interest in him. Oregon doesn't even really land on the radar. Nobody a month ago is even thinking Oregon's got a shot at him. They bring him in for a visit. He commits. And if you don't think that's a shot across Penn State's bow, like, hey, in your heartland, before we've ever even played a Big Ten game, we're going to go snatch up one of your top targets. And we just sort of flippantly have shown interest within the last few weeks, and we got him. That had to have put the fear in Penn State in a different way than I'm sure they were prepared for. Same thing with Dorian Brew out of Conroe, Texas. He's a Texas kid, but he actually grew up in Ohio, dreamed of being a Buckeye. He's rated as high as a 5-star corner in the composite rankings. I think Ohio State almost thought he was a foregone conclusion. On 3, had a 99.3% chance he'd choose Ohio State. Oregon hosts him on a visit. He commits to Oregon. They're doing some damage in the Big Ten in a way, in the Big Ten heartland in a way that I think is going to just kind of put the fear of God in some of those programs, to be completely candid.
Speaking of the fear of God in opponents, who is Ja Jackson? Because I saw this kid pop up today, the commit to Georgia, 6'11", 300 pounds, and he was a basketball player. Do you know anything about this guy?
I've seen like the memification of his recruitment. He's a giant and going to Georgia. That's scary. They will certainly get him ready. Every once in a while, it seems like every cycle, there's the one guy that's you're like, how are we the same species? Like I'm a 5'8", 180-pound man, well, young man, whatever you want to say, boy looking. I'm not very big. And then there are these guys who are like, how big is he? He's almost 7 feet tall. Good Lord. I still am baffled by some of the guys that come out of the South. They're just different sizes. I went to the opening a few years ago, and there were 4 or 5 kids, and they were like 16, 17 years old. and they were sitting 320 comfortably, where you're like, oh, he could put on weight. How big is he? He could probably put on 15, 20 pounds. He's looking like he's carrying that pretty well. 335. And you're like, what? How is this 17-year-old 335 and this comfortable and moving this well? It's unbelievable. I don't know. Georgia gets him, so probably he'll be very, very good.
All right, Nemec, when it's all said and done, Oregon right now has 15 commits in their class of 2025, including the Decorian Moore. They sit fifth nationally in 24/7's composite rankings behind Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, and Notre Dame, which all are either at 20 or higher. Georgia's at 19 right now, pending the Jaw Jackson, who just committed there, the big tackle. Where do you see Oregon finishing? Oregon only 15 commits this year and ranked fifth. Where do you see them finishing out?
I think that one of the services will have them at number 2. I think they're going to be in that 2, 3, 4 range, and one of the services will have them at 2. As a reminder, last year they finished third, and someone said, how big is the gap between 1 and 2 and then 3? And this happens pretty regularly. There's usually two classes that are just out of this world. And at the time, I said, if you give Oregon the number 1 and number 2 player in the country, they would still be third. When you're 1 or 2, you're getting 6, 7, 5 stars. It's a whole different level. I think they will reach that level, at least according to one service. This recruit, I think they will top out at 2, set a new record this year. Oh,
something that when you were talking, it registered in my brain. Alabama is sitting at number 2. And Kalen DeBoer, the whole thing was, can he recruit? And what is the messaging that you're hearing about DeBoer in Alabama? Because we know the X's and O's are there. We know the talent development is there from his previous stops, whether it was at Washington, Indiana, Fresno State.
If you're looking at the difference between what resources and what NIL and kind of tradition, how big an impact those things have, look no further than Kalen DeBoer. That's a guy who made a national championship game at Washington, and they really didn't have perennial top 25 recruiting classes. I've talked about on the recruiting show that some of that was that NIL for Washington wasn't where it needed to be, that they had a lot of work to do to catch up, even to some of the other schools at the time in the Pac-12, that they were kind of falling behind. And it was like, well, Kalen DeBoer can't recruit. Suddenly he's at Alabama, and they have the number 2 class in the nation, and they're recruiting like crazy, landing 5-star recruits. And I actually asked somebody at Alabama that was previously on the staff at Washington, what's the biggest difference? And I got one word back in all caps, and it was resources. Resources really, really matter. If you have them, you can play ball. If you don't, it's an uphill climb. And that's kind of one area where I'm looking at Oregon State as they look for a new home. Will they be able to, whether it's fundraising or through whatever conference they end up in, will they be able to have maybe not all caps resources, but maybe at least italicized resources so they can kind of throw their weight around a little bit and stay at least at the top of the Mountain West? You have to have resources, and Kalen DeBoer has them now, and Alabama looks like they haven't really missed a beat. We'll see on the field. Off the field, clearly not so much.
He's director of recruiting for SB Live and host of The Recruiting Show with Andrew Nemec, Thursday night, 7 o'clock, right here on The Fan. Nemec, thanks for the time, man. Appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you.
I was mentioning that Jaw Jackson kid.
Mm-hmm.
So he popped up on my Twitter feed because it was like, of course, the Bronny James connection. Mm-hmm. He was on Bronny's AAU team.
Yeah, he played for Overtime Elite. I was wondering if it was the same guy when you mentioned it. I was like, wait, he's playing football now?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's got like a 7'5" wingspan.
He is he's 6'11" or 6'9", depending on where you look. So 6'11" in cleats, probably. But he's 3 Overtime Elite championships. Mm-hmm. He was an elite basketball player. This is Georgia's offensive line recruiting class, and he's a class of 2024 kid. So he's going to show up like next week at Georgia. This is their 2024 class, just brand new to the Georgia football program. 6'6.5", 365, 6'7", 335, 6'5.5", 335, 6'7.5", 391, 6'7.5", 336, 6'5.5", 320 pounds. And then the small guy is, if you want to take his smallest measurements, Jaw Jackson, 6'9", 300.
The 6'7", 365, that's the, like, as a true freshman, that's terrifying.
Like,
Daniel Calhoun.
Georgia. what are you guys doing there? So
And if you'll notice, they all come from the same pocket
oh,
in southeastern United States.
goodness gracious. Except for Jackson, his hometown is San Diego, and then he moved over there to Atlanta. Yeah. Goodness gracious. My God.
Complete and utter monsters.
Yeah. Just very large human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Very large human beings. All right. 503-864-6236. That is the Vancouver Ford text line. Before we get back to the world of the NBA and all the craziness that's happening there, Denny Avdija will be introduced in just over a half hour from now as the newest Portland Trailblazer. I got some college football fun with audio.
Oh.
Because they may not play each other this year, but the hate is real. Next on The Fan. rivalries die hard. And I didn't even know this was a rivalry, especially after the butt kicking that Washington State put down on Colorado last year, 56-14. But Cam Ward and Shador Sanders were working out yesterday, or over the weekend, rather, in Florida, because Cam Ward, now University of Miami quarterback, Shador Sanders still with the University of Colorado. And during a break in their workout, somebody was recording, and this audio popped up. And this has got levels to it. So listen closely, because this is all just fantastic.
I start getting water. We gotta start getting on the phones.
Cam Ward right here.
Got bullshit. Can't stay hydrated, man. Got bullshit. Well, you know we don't get water. Y'all can't handle that heat. That's what it is. It's cool though.
Bro.
That's your team.
Here, bro.
Huh?
What? You live out here.
That don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing.
You come down where I'm at.
I've been up there. Colder.
These ain't get water too. 8423.
I don't think y'all got better today. I don't think you got better today.
You the
I
whole
did.
reason we here late.
I got better. I might have been the reason we was late, but I got better.
Okay, I'm gonna get better tomorrow and Saturday.
We throwing comebacks. We throwing comebacks. You just lost it and you placing it. You not throwing it.
Okay.
Come on, man.
Cam Ward going in.
Just talking S.
Taka is saying he's soft because he needs water breaks. Then he goes, at the very end, he goes in on him because, look, Shador Sanders is mocked as one of the top quarterbacks, if not the top quarterback, in this next upcoming draft class. And you could tell, like, Cam Ward's got a little bit of edge to him when he's talking to Shador Sanders there. And he's criticizing his throwing on comebacks, lofting the ball in, which you cannot do. That'll be picked off 10 times out of 10 in the NFL. But there are two other pieces of that. One, I just love Cam Ward just going all in. The other parts are so great, and they make my heart warm. Because you hear the guy in the background, you're the whole reason why we're late. And Cam Ward's like, I may have been late. Cam Ward shows up late to the workout and then goes all in on Shador.
Which, fits right in at Miami.
He's just like, nope. He's like, I may have been late, but I got better today. And then dives right back in on Sanders.
Look, man, there's no doubting whether or not Shador Sanders is talented. The talent is there. We saw it. We've all seen it. The other stuff, we had him at Pac-12 Media Day, and we got done with that interview. You remember what I said? I was like, he does not want to be here at all. I mean, they knew this is like 2 days after the announcement of the dissolution of basically of the Pac-12 with USC and UCLA leaving. And he wanted no, and that was 2 years ago. And he wanted nothing to do with any of this. And it was just like, I don't know, man. The other stuff, the between the ears stuff, he's still a kid. He can definitely mature. But how many times have you seen him where you're like, yeah, I can get behind that. I'm motivated by that. Flashing the rollie and it's like he's doing real good when things are going well.
Yep.
When they're not, he's more DB than quarterback. A lot of backpedaling.
And when you heard that's the other part about this. Like when Cam Ward said, you didn't get better today, what'd he say? I'll get better tomorrow. I'll get better Saturday. And then he gave us a drop. That right there, when I heard that to me validated a lot of the gripes that you hear from the guys who are leaving Colorado, saying that anything that makes him look better and knock somebody else down a peg. And whether it is going at players for no reason, placing a lot of blame on other guys. I was sitting there like, that sounded real petty when you throw in the nobody wants Nelson from The Simpsons. And he went full Nelson from The Simpsons. And like you, how many stories have we seen? Of,
That's what I'm saying. There's not like one coming out there like, no. Shador's it's fine. He's good. There's been none of that, and that's what makes it goes from like a slight eyebrow raise to I want nothing to do with you.
Oh, so like all the mock drafts that have the
have him with the Raiders
take
him. Yeah, that is forefront of my mind going into next season. I'm like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Hard pass.
There was a part of me that was waiting for Cam Ward to pop off with the "Daddy's not here to protect you right now."
It seemed like he was going that way, but I think with him being late, he couldn't go too deep.
Yeah, you don't want to go all the way in.
I was late.
Dipping your toe in it.
You know.
Very similar to the way that he dipped his toe into the NFL draft and then decided to take the bag and go to Miami.
Smart.
Good for him.
Guaranteed money.
Yeah, it is.
Not bad. All right, coming up next is our worst day on the web, and well, I think we can all gather around and absolutely hate this equally. But first, here's a Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, after winning back-to-back national championships with UConn and turning down the Lakers head coaching job, Huskies head coach Dan Hurley has signed a new deal that will keep him in stores through the 2029-30 season. The new deal is for 6 years, $50 million plus performance-based incentives. Hurley turned down $70 million over 6 years in Los Angeles. Over in baseball, Royal shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. and Braves designated hitter Marcell Ozuna will participate in next week's home run derby. The other announced players in the 8-player field are Orioles shortstop Gunnar Henderson, Phillies third baseman Alec Boehm, and Mets first baseman Pete Alonso. After dropping their last 6 straight series, the Mariners hit the road for a 6-game trip to close out the first half of the season. 2 in San Diego against the Padres, then a 4-game set at the Angels. Mariners have a 2-game lead over the Astros in the AL West, but Houston is also off today. Over in the NBA, ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reporting free agent center Daniel Tice signing a 1-year deal with the Pelicans. Woj also reporting free agent forward Haywood Highsmith has agreed to a 2-year, $11 million deal to return to the Heat. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan Merch Locker has new shirts from the fan shows and hosts you love. Get yours now at 1080thefan.com. for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
That sucks.
Now, in today's edition of Corporate Cronyism, Boeing has pled guilty to criminal fraud conspiracy.
Oh.
Yeah, Boeing, the plane company, military contractor.
Yeah.
Those guys, they have been ordered to pay up to essentially $500 million in fines, but the Justice Company is saying, well, they've already paid a part of that fine, so maybe let's cut that in half. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Because they have lots of friends in Congress, lots of friends in the Senate. But yeah, no, we're talking about the company that resulted in plane crashes that killed over 300 people that they were just kind of sleep that under the rug. But what ended up happening was that was going to be hush-hush until a door fell off of an aircraft over Portland.
Yeah, right here in our own backyard,
Yeah,
into
in
a
our backyard.
science teacher's backyard, no less. Caught up in the tree. Luckily, didn't go through his living room.
Or land on, I don't know, a freeway.
Yeah. Yes. Or anybody.
Yeah, like it's just like the things that could have happened. And there's also been other issues with Boeing planes. They have been found to be using counterfeit titanium, which for those, this is getting deep in the weeds. You've got your medical grade that gets anything that's below medical grade gets to aerospace grade titanium. They were found using counterfeit, which means it's like cutting your Coke with baking soda, except for cutting your metal with cheaper metals. And that was to save money. And which that's a really easy thing to check for, is they just do a metallurgy test, and you can't hide it.
Look, there's a lot that is going wrong here. I guess the families of the 346 people that died in two separate crashes of the 737 Maxes,
Yes.
they were looking for $22.8 billion.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, that's been cut significantly.
Yeah, down to under $500 million.
Yeah, that is and now you have also Boeing companies, and I think this is a good rule. I think this is a rule we should follow. Companies that have been convicted of felonies, like this one that they agreed to, cannot get defense contracts because we spend a lot of money on our defense here, right?
Yeah.
Well, apparently, Boeing is expected to seek a waiver that says, no, they're good here, because guess what they signed? A $22.8 billion defense contract.
Well, yeah, I mean, you want to hear a fun one? They got $500 million to build a military communication satellite for the U.S. Space Force.
Space Force.
So half a billion to build a satellite.
Holy smokes.
Folks,
You need to get in the satellite business.
No, what you need to get into is the government contract business. The whole thing about the $750 hammer, the $500 toilet seat, it's a real thing. When I was overseas, we had it's called MSR, Main Supply Route, that went through the heart of Baghdad. You may have heard about this with the Halliburton scandals. They were charging the U.S. Halliburton money to ferry delivery vehicles up and down this MSR, which was littered with IEDs, improvised explosive devices, as well as
I've seen this in War Dogs.
Yeah, long story
that movie,
short,
War Dogs.
The trucks were empty.
Oh.
The trucks were empty. And they were just logging miles, but saying they were transporting cargo. And they were putting these drivers' lives at risk every single day that they did it, every single time that they did it, because there's only so many paths you could take, and those that wished to do harm would be able to target and track, and they would be able to place IEDs and attack these convoys.
Boy.
Also, Halliburton could make a buck.
We got a lot of backwardsness going on.
Oh, yeah, those military contracts, they're insane. Like, here's another one. When I was waiting for my security clearance one time, when I had just PCS, when I just changed bases, my top security clearance was on hold as I was being evaluated or reevaluated and reinstated as I was moving. I had what was called casual status for about 10 days.
Such a casual.
Right? It's because
Such a casual.
I literally could not go into the skiff, the compartmentalized secure bunker of where I worked without that clearance. And part of what I was supposed to do is I was working for a group called DRMO, which is the resource management. And
wait, can I stop you before you go to prison? You're not going to go to prison
no,
for
no,
this.
it's
Okay,
totally
good.
fine.
Yeah,
No,
all right.
No,
I
totally-
just have to. I feel like I have to ask when Danny
No.
starts his
No,
military stories.
No, I actually, it's actually kind of
we just
funny.
crossed 2 years, and I don't want you to go to
Yeah, no,
prison
no, no.
because you.
No. It's actually funny. We're actually starting to creep up on 20 years of since or over 20 years. Once I hit 25 years on stuff starts getting declassified naturally.
So we're gonna have story time with Danny.
Yeah, that's actually a thing that's gonna be able to happen
All
here
right.
relatively soon. Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
This one's not as dextery. This is just more about how much fraud, waste, and abuse we have in our government. We took a deuce and a half, which is a big 6-wheeled, massive truck.
I've taken a deuce and a half.
Yeah, there you go. Humbib. That requires more fiber than this.
That was after the pot roasted chicken and
There you
dumplings.
Now that was a double deuce. But we went around from
Roadhouse.
from squadron to squadron around the base, and you know what we were doing? We were picking up brand new computers, and we picked up hundreds of them, like in the box, untouched, unopened, and they were going to be destroyed.
What?
Destroyed.
Why?
Because they'd
been bought and had not been used.
Yep, and I was like, we can't give these like a school or a charity. Like, no, because of the way this stuff is purchased through the government contracts, that can't be given away.
Yeah, that seems legit.
Yeah, very dumb. And we proceeded to destroy thousands of computers.
Huh? I am all for our defense spending.
No, listen,
I think it is something that is needed, and it keeps us very free.
Mm-hmm.
That is the type of waste that I'm going, why is nobody stepping up and being like, hey guys.
Oh yeah, fraud, waste, and abuse of government money is insane. Which that's entirely political, which is why I hate all politicians.
Well, yeah.
The person that you like specifically, yes, especially that person.
Dude,
if you're listening.
it is one of the things. Everything becoming politicized it is driving me crazy. I saw a story over the weekend that I thought would be great for Worst Day on the Web. You see the guy, the Tennessee HOA president that snapped a fishing pole over his leg because 2 kids were fishing in a community pool? Did you see that?
Mm-mm.
No. Some guy who he seemed kind of hammered. He was just belligerent, mad maybe.
Sure.
He walks up and these 2 kids are just fishing in a community pond. And he's like, get out of here. And they're like, hey, whoa, we're just fishing. Like, we'll call the police. And he was like bowing up on him like he was going to punch 2 kids, like 12 or 13 years old.
That actually happens way more often than you think. There's a bunch of bridges that you can fish off of legally.
Yeah.
And people have called police on them because they're not supposed to be doing it. It's like, mind your own business.
No, the kids were like, we called the police.
Yeah.
Like, hey, man,
Sure.
if we're not supposed to be here, we'll let them tell us. But guy grabs a kid's fishing pole, snaps it over his knee, and like the kids were like, what? It was like $200 rod for a kid. That's a lot for anybody. That's a lot of money. And like that's where like the video ends. Whatever. The comments somehow. And this is what I just absolutely hate, everything getting politicized. They're like, must be a lib, must be a Republican. I'm like, why are we going there? Like, no, must be an a-hole.
Yes.
Those exist across party lines.
Across political spectrums.
And it doesn't matter. But
Yep.
everybody wants to be like, wow, that's Democrat. Nope, that's a Republican right there. Let me tell you. And they're like, I've never seen a Republican act like that. I've never seen a Democrat act like that. It's like, I've seen both of you act like that right here on the internet.
And worse.
Right here. Like, what are we doing?
But here's to come full
Stop.
circle. No matter what political affiliation you have, you can all hate Boeing.
That is
See?
putting a damn bow on that.
Yeah, look at that. Make them pay significantly more for the love of God and take away the military contracts.
Give those families the $25 billion they were looking for.
Yeah.
And look,
And the CEO of Boeing can take his 42% pay increase that he got year over year, and he can, instead of shoving it somewhere it's probably less comfortable, he can give it away to people.
And you know what? I got some buddies that work at Boeing, and it's like they don't know any of this stuff. Like, this is all above their head, and it sucks for them.
I knew a little aircraft designer who worked at Boeing for 30 years.
Brutal.
And he doesn't have anything to do with this.
No.
So
he's going to the CEO like, you know what we need to do?
yeah.
We need to cut that We need to cut that.
We need to
titanium.
cut our titanium with weaker alloys.
Yeah.
Vancouver Ford text line. That's what sank the Titanic, casting iron rivets weaker than the steel used on the rest of the ship. I was going to say the iceberg that did it, but hey.
I think the iceberg did it too.
That punched a Mount Rushmore-sized hole in the side of the ship.
Yeah, I think that's probably what did it.
But, I mean, the weak rivets probably weren't helpful.
Well, it was an unsinkable ship.
There you go.
All right. And its sister ship also sank.
Sinkable ships?
Not great.
Sinkable ships?
Not great, Bob.
All right, coming up next, there's a platform that one could run on right now. It's speaking of politics season.
Oh, let's go.
That will win you the presidential ticket. Danny and Dusty, today, the fan.
Hello, sports.
Well, a little more now than 2 years of being on the show together, and, with that, Dusty finally peed his pants on air.
Yeah, I went to the bathroom, and now I got water all over my shirt and my pants.
Water.
It is. It would not be on that side of my pants.
Sure, Jan.
It'd be right down the middle.
Damn sink. Got me, sprayed me. But I'm gonna own it. If anybody asks, yeah, I just I dribbled all over myself.
Let's face it, you went in there trying to no-handed, and it just went fire hose on you.
Thank you for the confidence booster. Appreciate that.
I like it. You want a confidence booster? How about a confidence booster going into the election season where old Joe Burrow has put it out there? He's going to fix the NFL.
Okay.
You know how he's going to fix the NFL?
Mm-hmm.
He wants a mandatory bye week in the middle of the season. Week 13. Well, a little bit more in the middle of the season. And in that bye week, you would get your All-Star game. Move the Pro Bowl to week 13. Maybe get people to care about it just a little bit more.
Huh. So we're thinking that would be, by the way, week 13 is Thanksgiving weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of having Thanksgiving football, we have the Pro Bowl festivities that week.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Is that?
But what if I told you your trade-off was pushing the Super Bowl back another week and getting it to lead into President's Day and getting the Monday off following the Super Bowl?
Now we're talking.
Dun, 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 dun.
Now we're talking. Okay, so he wants 2 bye weeks, normal bye weeks that every team has. And then you'd have certain situations, though, where in order to stagger those bye weeks, nobody could have a bye week 12, because you don't want teams going 2 weeks off. What does it do if you have bye week 11, right? And then you're sitting there and you have 11 bye week 12 game, another bye week 13? That would be a little bit clunky. So your bye weeks would have to be within the first 10 weeks of the season, if we're being, fair about all of it. And nobody wants a bye week too early. So you would start in between, I would say, weeks 6 and weeks 10. Every single team is going through their bye weeks. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have 5 weeks to get every team's bye weekend. So you're looking at
6 teams
in that range, right around 6 teams a week.
You'd have 8 in one of them.
Yeah.
And he's also talking about this in terms of an 18-game season, which would mean a 20-week regular season. So instead of going like week 13, then you go to 14.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
So
you don't have it on Thanksgiving weekend. Then you got 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
So then you're looking, and hey, I'm actually all for this even more, because if you bump that back a week, that's when you would be starting college football playoff. Round 1 would be that week after,
to fill the gap,
or conference championship week is what it would be. It'd be conference championship.
It would be an important college football week.
Yeah, you could buoy up, the college football schedule a little bit more. And I'm actually for that. You know what? Bump it back another week. Do it that first, after conference championship week in college football, where it is the first round of the college football playoff. Every team has that mandatory bye week. And then all of a sudden you have the final push of the regular season, which is the final 4 weeks, because what every team does is they slice that season into 4 quarters of a season. Obviously 18-game schedule, you're going to have to go up a little bit more on that. But if you put it back on week 15, say, and you have it that second week of December, then you have those final 4 games of the regular season. Everybody has a bye week heading into that final push to the playoffs, and guys can get a little bit more healthy. I'm way on board. I want to tweak it a little bit for old Joe Burrow, but I think it could be great for all sports if you do that.
It brings everything into a almost a moon-like synchronization.
Yeah. And then you have
gotta check each sport's horoscope though. Make sure they're all compatible.
The moon's got to align. Yeah, the moons absolutely, they have to align.
Can't wax and wane.
Yeah.
It's got to be waxing or waning.
But then you have the one issue that you do have is if the Super Bowl is on President's Day weekend, that is also NBA All-Star weekend historically. The NBA would get absolutely obliterated by that, and they would not want that. They wouldn't want that at all. So maybe you move the NBA All-Star weekend back a week, and then all of a sudden our sports calendar makes so much more sense. It makes so much. We would have something all throughout the year then. If you just move that All-Star game back a week in the NBA. Maybe move your whole season back 1 week in the NBA.
I mean, they already moved it up 2 weeks, so you could move it back a week.
Yeah, and then it just stretches in our NBA Finals. Like, their change to where I know everybody hates the fact that the Finals take so long and they drag out, but think of where the sports calendar is right now.
There's not many gaps anymore.
Yeah.
August is really the gap. That's it.
But everybody's gung-ho NFL college football.
You're getting ready for camp, and at the end of August, even now, we're getting games.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the first college football game is what, August 24th?
Yeah. But the first 3
Let's
weeks of
go.
August is kind of the barren landscape, as it were.
Yeah.
I mean, us obviously in this industry, we know that like that's the.
Which is why it's perfect to take time off for my birthday.
That's what I'm talking about, Russ.
Okay.
Yeah.
Usually right around that Hall of Fame game for the NFL.
I'm on board. Joe Burrow, do it.
Presidential ticket.
If he ran for president on that, I'd vote for Joe Burrow.
No, he'd be neither a criminal nor an invalid. So
Yeah, I mean, we could.
that alone elevates him above any candidate.
right,
Like
Joe
it's hit in week 1 again.
May write in Joe Burrow anyway. You never know.
I think this might be my first write-in candidacy.
No, you won't do it.
You know, I'm more likely to not vote. Which is such an insane thing. If you would have told me that 20 years ago, you know, the whole selective service voting thing, you know.
Yeah.
Now that it doesn't matter, who cares?
You don't care anymore.
God.
What an American.
Speaking of American and caring, Team USA basketball. There's
Hell
a
yeah.
lot coming out of
I'm
that.
in.
Up, down, left, right, in between, including who's the new alpha. That and more here in hour number 3 on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
I'm Michael Jenkins.
Number 3 here on Danny and Dusty on a Monday afternoon, whether you're listening on 1080 a.m., watching along on youtube.com/1080am The Fan, or twitch.tv/1080am The Fan. We appreciate you. We love you. We hope you're staying cool. Check on your friends, check on your neighbors, check on your dogs, your cats. Don't leave anybody in cars.
Animals and olds and youngs.
And if you smell something, well.
Oh, man. Yeah, of course. You had to go there.
Yeah, just ruined it.
You had to go there.
Stinky.
Yep. Supposed to be 99 here in 2 hours.
That's warm.
It is warm. I'm for it. I like the warmth.
I do.
We can't complain about the cold, and then when it gets hot, say it's too hot. So I'm good.
The only thing I remotely get frustrated about when it gets this warm, as long as my house has AC, is when I have to park my car somewhere there's no shade. When it just has to sit there and cook, and it's like, this is going to be tough. But other than that, I love this weather.
Leather seats, you just stick your butt right to it.
It's the one thing why I'm not having my truck anymore is nice, because, but my God, when the leather burns, yeesh.
It's different.
Now, speaking of burning, I think some egos might be on fire.
No way.
Yeah, no, if you remember, if you're old enough, since this is an old person check, the Dream Team of 1992, there was a battle of the olds, as it were, where Magic Johnson thought he was still him. And this is, to be blunt, post-AIDS Magic Johnson. This was reintegration into the NBA, was 91 and 92 with that Dream Team. Michael Jordan came into that team and ripped everyone's soul out and established a pecking order of, no, this is not you. This is not Larry. This is not Hakeem. This is no one. This is nobody else's NBA. This is mine. And the practices now have become legendary with the footage that has come out where Michael Jordan just went at everyone's neck.
It's Jimmy Butler against the Wolves.
Yes, except for the Wolves this time was Magic Johnson.
And Larry Bird.
And,
And
first
David
ballot Hall of
Robinson.
Famers.
And Charles Barkley.
Yeah, this was dudes. And
Christian Laettner.
And he just ripped their throats out.
Now his son's going to do it.
Not Michael Jordan's actual son, but someone old enough to be Michael Jordan's son.
Has a striking resemblance to him.
He does. And
has a striking resemblance to him.
Who knows? Maybe he has a baby mama with Larsa Pippen, too.
Whoa.
Oh,
I don't know this one.
Anthony Edwards has got like 5 baby mamas now. Yeah, that came out on Twitter over the weekend. Mildly problematic. But what he did do is he sat down in the scrum and established the pecking order of what he thinks Team USA is going to be.
I'm still the number 1 option. Yeah. I mean, y'all might look at it differently. I don't look at it no differently. Yeah.
How does that influence you? How do you go about it? You just go about it the same?
Yeah, I just go out there and be myself. Shoot my shots, play defense, and, they got to fit in and play around me. That's how I feel. Yeah.
Anthony Edwards is
Wait, hold on. Shoot his shots, play his defense. I got to fit in around me. Was he talking basketball or the dating game?
Yeah, a little bit of both.
You got to shoot your shot. You got to play that defense.
You up?
And hey, you got to fit in around me.
You're not wrong. Anthony Edwards is a hell of a player. During the break, I had the picture of the Team USA official team photo up, and we were looking at it. And number 1, Joel Embiid is, holy crap, is he big?
He's big.
Anthony Edwards is not the best player on that team. He's not the clear and above. Like, Jason Tatum's on that team and just won an NBA title and is in his prime. Like, there are guys on this team, talent-wise, peak-wise, prime-wise, that are ahead of him. But I respect that he wants to put it on the table.
I mean, that is part of the allure to Anthony Edwards, though. That's why I like Anthony Edwards as basketball players, because of the fact that that is who he is unapologetically, right? Mm-hmm. He is always going to have that mindset. I'm going to get mine. I will be the alpha. I will be the number 1. And his style of play, it lines up with that perfectly. My only apprehension to that is, do you remember when there was a lot of that going on with Team USA and they ended up not winning a gold medal?
Oh, you mean the Redeem team that had to come around?
Yeah.
Here's a quick reminder. LeBron James and Anthony Davis have not been on these Olympic teams in 12 years. If you look at this Olympic team, it's old, man. You've got LeBron James.
Yeah.
You've got Steph Curry. You've got
KD.
KD, who is dealing with a calf strain
Drew.
already. Drew Holiday. Kawhi Leonard is old. Like, this is not like the guys, every one of these guys in their prime. I mean, LeBron James is, again, I always bring this up because it's insane to me. He's 3 months younger than me. He will be 40 in 6 months. He will be 40 in 6 months. He is the one in the team picture, front and center, holding the basketball.
He's team dad.
I mean, that's kind of what's happening here. And it's, okay. In the open scrimmage that is available to the media, it's ongoing right now in Las Vegas at UNLV. The quote-unquote starting lineup, the first group, Steph Curry, Ant Edwards, Jason Tatum, LeBron James, and Joel Embiid.
Damn, that is scary. That is scary good, though.
Folks, they're coming home with the gold.
That is terrifying.
They're coming home with the gold, folks.
And so off the bench, then, you're going to have Anthony Davis.
Bam Adebayo.
Bam Adebayo.
Those are your three bigs.
Drew Holiday.
Kawhi Leonard.
Tyrese Halliburton.
Devin Booker.
And
we're missing one.
Did you mention KD in the starting lineup?
No.
KD. Kevin Durant.
Let's look. I'm wish casting here. If KD can't go because of the calf strain, put Cooper Flagg on the team.
Just roll him out. No, Caitlin Clark.
Put Cooper Flagg. Oh well, she might actually end up being on the women's team.
No, put Caitlin Clark on
injuries.
No, on the men's team.
Yeah.
No, and that is a very real thing.
Yes. So and Team USA basketball, if they are dumb if they don't at this point.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But Cooper Flagg is on the U.S. men's select team. He's the first college player since 2013 to be on that team. Doug McDermott, who his dad was coaching, as well as Marcus Smart, who I believe were both 21 on that team. You're going to hear Cooper Flagg's name mentioned a lot between now and next year's draft.
Yeah.
He is still 17, Dusty. He is not 18 until December. He is very young. He is practicing with the men's team right now. That is a dude that if I'm Nike and KD can't go, I am pinning Steve Kerr to the floor and saying, you're going to take Cooper Flagg. And that's how this is going to go. Because the big, mean Nike machine behind Cooper Flagg, giving him this, even if he touches the floor twice in the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
Start the hype train now before he goes to Duke, and then use the Duke machine that is that to catapult him in. The Cooper Flagg Nike shoes are going to go quintuple platinum before he even gets to the league.
And our good buddy Ben Golliver just tweeted out a video of Cooper Flagg catching a corner three, Anthony Davis closing out on him, and him just shooting with no hesitation, nothing but net. He's not going to be caught up in like the moment of it being too big, because this is kind of like what Cooper Flagg's entire process of being in the AAU circuit and going through high school has been, is he plays the best competition time and time and time again. And here they go. They have him playing against Team USA right now, and he doesn't seem to be flinching.
No, he got blocked by AD yesterday. There's a clip of that, and then he gathers it, kicks it back out, and then hits a back cut and throws it down.
Oh, perfect.
And it was like, he doesn't. He's not afraid at all. And a 17-year-old doing this that's special, man.
Put Cooper Flagg on it.
There's still some more news and notes around some Olympic stuff we'll get to. But the Oregon Ducks lost one of their own over the weekend, and we'll address that here as Khyree Jackson has unfortunately passed away. Commitment next year on Danny and Dusty, 10 The Fan.
How's your t
Over the weekend, unfortunately, tragedy struck the Oregon Ducks football team as well as the Minnesota Vikings team, as former Ducks defensive back Khyree Jackson and 2 high school teammates were unfortunately killed in a car accident the morning of July 6th. Kevin Seifert of ESPN was the first to break the news from the, I believe, Maryland State Police that a 3-car accident had occurred, and the vehicle containing Jackson and his 2 friends had gone off the road and hit various tree stumps at what would be high speeds, and unfortunately killed all 3 passengers.
I mean, it is the story is tragic, and it happened like at 3:15 in the morning, and there was a lot that was thrown out there immediately, and we will find out more information as it goes on. But police in Maryland are saying that the alcohol was involved with the driver who caused the accident, which was not the vehicle that Khyree Jackson was riding as a front passenger in. And I mean the tragedy is somebody lost their life because of 3 people lost their lives in a 3-car accident where 2 of the other vehicles were uninjured.
They walked away without injury, which is insane to think about.
But the vehicle that Khyree Jackson was riding in obviously was the one that it took the brunt of the collision, and then the ensuing aftermath where you're going over, by the accounts of it, multiple tree stumps. It's horrific, and it's gut-wrenching, especially when, this story, we know about it, we hear about it, we talk about it because it's Khyree Jackson, who was a 4th-round pick by the Minnesota Vikings, who played at the University of Oregon. And his 2 friends that he was in the cars with played at Penn State and Maryland, respectively. And that's why we hear about this in the greater messages about drinking and driving and the safety of being in a multiple 1,000-pound vehicle and acting as if you're invincible in it, because the car that caused the accident apparently swerved out into another lane, came back, hit the vehicle that Jackson was driving in. And it's tragic on all fronts, because it's not just 3 lives lost, but how many lives are ruined in the process as well. I mean, it's horrifying, and it's gut-wrenching when you think about those things. And Khyree Jackson's story was an incredible one, one of perseverance. I mean, a kid who did not qualify academically to go and play at a 4-year university right out of high school. So he went the junior college route. He ended up, through his own story, he's told it several times, whether it was at the U of O or when he was at the Minnesota Vikings going through his post-draft, get to know you media availability, is he was open and honest about talking about it. Like the academic side, he was a non-academic qualifier. He ended up going to junior college, didn't work out there. And he was working at home and living at home. And he was the employee of the month at a grocery store and told his mom, looks like I'm going to be a grocery store employee. He was working because school wasn't in the cards for him to join the NBA 2K league, right? Like, and he said there was a point where, look, I don't know if these are the 2 individuals that he was talking about, but there was a media availability when he was at Oregon where he talked about he had 2 friends that he said were playing Division I college football, and he saw how much joy they got out of it and what they were doing with their lives, and he got back and said, no, I'm going to go and recommit, and I'm going to go back to junior college, and I'm going to make this work. He ends up going to Alabama, plays there for 2 years, and then goes to the University of Oregon and shined at Oregon. And the one thing that you hear repeatedly, whether it was from his time at Alabama, Oregon, or his very short time with the Minnesota Vikings, was he had that infectious personality, right? And he was a guy that kind of always lit up the locker room. And Dan Lanning on his tweet just, talked about his smile, and one of those guys that can just light up a room. And when you think about the tragedy that strikes and the fact that, you get guys like Brandon Dorless, I believe it was, that tweeted out, we were just talking about how at the Senior Bowl, this was going to be our chance to change our families forever. The opportunity to play in the NFL, and that gets snatched away in an instant. it's tragic. It's sad. And, I had very brief and fleeting interactions. I didn't know Khyree Jackson, but that dude, for a guy that could have all the baggage in the world, non-academic qualifier out of high school, JUCO doesn't work out, has to recommit, go back to JUCO, then goes to Alabama, then transfers to Oregon. Like, that was never anything that I saw with my own eyes, because his teammates loved him. He was the guy that kind of people gravitated towards when things were up and when things were down. And there weren't very many down times at his time at Oregon, because they were really good and he was really damn good. And it's a loss that hurts, and your heart drops.
Yeah.
Because of what he went through to get to the point of his life of where he was finally realizing a dream of being in the NFL. Think about that. It goes from just a handful of years ago being a guy who was employee of the month at a grocery store and being like, "Yep, this is what I am now," to being a 4th round draft pick in the NFL,
and then not being able to realize it.
It makes your heart just hurt. That it's terrible, man. And you see the tributes that are coming out, and the University of Oregon did a really good tribute video to him in his time, albeit brief, at Oregon. It was really impactful for the entire University of Oregon football family, and you just go and you start thinking about their family, man. All 3 of the families that lost loved ones in this. Khyree Jackson is the one that we talk about here, and that everybody else is going to talk about because he made it to the NFL.
Yeah,
but there are 2 other families that are going through it too, and my heart goes out to all of them, because it's tragic, it's sad,
brutal.
and it sucks.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is not a circumstance that the Ducks are unfamiliar with fluke accidents with Spencer Webb just a couple years ago, and it's one of those things where it's you don't really know what to say when somebody that young has something happen to them like that. It's one thing to tear a knee or to even break a back or, just have a life-changing injury, but to have life taken away.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a reminder of the fleeting circumstances of everything.
Think before you drink and drive.
Yeah.
Just don't drive.
It's just don't.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that you just, it is preventable.
Yep. It 100% is. It 100% is. And it is the tragedy striking like that. I mean, you just go through, and when you're young, hell, when you're older and you lose somebody that you care about, is a friend, and somebody that is a teammate of yours, it doesn't matter your age, man. There's a lot of people that are hurting, from Eugene to Tuscaloosa, and back in Maryland, his hometown, and obviously in Minnesota, where he's becoming a Viking as well. Sucks. So,
it's just that, I get a little somber around this stuff because it sucks, and it's just, it's always tough to hear when somebody so young gets taken away.
Yep.
So, I guess just a rest in peace to to him and to his family and all the communities that knew him and loved him, and hopefully they can work their way through this. So, all right, coming up next, always hard to pivot out of these, but we've got more information on how things kind of fell apart around Paul George and Los Angeles Clippers coming up here. But first, here's the Big Kahuna with the Sports Center update.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, after winning back-to-back national championships with UConn and turning down the Lakers head coaching job, Huskies head coach Dan Hurley has signed a new deal that will keep him in stores through the 2029-30 season. The new deal, 6 years, $50 million plus performance-based incentives. Hurley turned down $70 million over 6 years in Los Angeles. Over in baseball, Royals shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. and Braves DH Marcell Ozuna will participate in next week's Home Run Derby. The other announced players in the 8-player field are Orioles shortstop Gunnar Henderson, Phillies third baseman Alec Boehm, and Mets first baseman Pete Alonso. After dropping their 6th straight series, the Mariners hit the road for a 6-game trip to close out the first half of the first season. They've got 2 in San Diego against the Padres, followed by a 4-game set at the Angels. Mariners with a 2-game lead over the Astros in the AL West. Houston is also off today. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reporting free agent center Daniel Tice is signing a one-year deal with the Pelicans. And Woj also reporting free agent forward Haywood Highsmith has agreed to a 2-year, $11 million deal to return to the Heat. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Do it every morning. Dirt and Spray. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
A little change here. You've got audio straight from the media availability of Trailblazers' new acquisition, wing Denny Avdija, being introduced at the Trailblazers practice facility just a little bit ago. Obviously, I'm not there because I'm here. Otherwise, I would be there. Yes, I tried to get the Trailblazers to move the time around me. They were not willing to do so.
God. Danny with the wait, do you know who I am?
Yeah. No, it was more of a, oh, come on. Can't we do it a little earlier?
Let's go. Just
trust me. I've been successful in that endeavor in the past.
All right.
I did that with a couple of the workouts. I was like, come on.
Just like Ann Edwards said, shoot your shot. Yeah. Shoot your shot. Let's go.
Sometimes you win. Sometimes you lose. It's how it goes. He looked at me and he said 2:00. And I went, all right. But to be fair, Denny was coming back from Tel Aviv.
Oh, that's a short trip.
Yeah, I think it's like a 16-hour flight. He was in L.A., I think, as of yesterday or the day before, but you need a couple days to
that's not a
catch that one up. But we've got a couple clips from Denny's availability, including what he kind of brings to the Portland Trailblazers.
Maturity, understanding my capabilities and skill, and just confidence and belief. I think the organization, the coach, especially in the second half of the season, really helped me make that jump.
The thing about Denny is he's made improvements literally every year. And one of the things that I've heard from not only this current Blazers front office, but from evaluators around the league and talking and asking about Denny is that he's an insane worker. I think most people think that most people in the NBA or professional sports are all like that. They're all built like that. They're not. Like the craziest worker on the Trailblazers is not Shaden. It's not Scoot. It's not Ant. It's not DA. It's not none of those guys. It's Ryan Repair. He is the guy that logs more hours, more shots than anyone. I was talking to somebody the other day, he goes, yeah, I get here really early in the morning, and he's already been here for an hour working out. He's a lunatic. And Denny is another one of those guys that's kind of like that, as I've been told, is he's a guy who works and works and works and puts in real time and real development into his craft. So there's levels to this. I'm not saying the other guys don't work. Don't think that at all. That's just something that's I've heard about Denny and Roops is guys that just are maniacal in their work ethic.
And that's something that, he made an astronomical leap in his shooting percentage, especially from three.
Yeah.
He was around 20.
37.
He went from 29% career because 32 was the prior year.
Yeah.
22, 23, then 23, 24. He goes up to 37%. And it has been a steady increase with him at every step of the way.
Yeah. Shooting, rebounding, playmaking, everything. Everything has gotten better. And when he got post All-Star break, when they kind of let the reins off of him and had him he was running the team for the Wizards down the stretch. And he just showed he can do so much more. But he was asked about the shooting and whether or not, how the shooting can continue to grow and whether or not it's here to stay.
I haven't changed. I feel like I really worked on the mental side of shooting and really understand it. I am a good shooter, and I really worked a whole summer focusing on the shot and making sure I was confident about it. And that's it. I'm not overthinking anything anymore.
That's a big thing, the confidence level in your jump shot, the ability to just take it without thinking about what you're doing. I need to keep I need to get my hand off the top of the ball. I need to take my guide hand away. I need to make sure I really follow through. Those are the things that you do when you're building it up and breaking it down. But when you've actually progressed beyond that, it just needs to be, I need to get this thing out.
Yeah, catch and shoot.
Yeah.
It's not thinking when you're shooting. And that's
Trusting
part of confidence. And that comes with minutes too. And everybody's like, yeah, well, he wasn't a poor shooter until this last year. Well, this past year was the only time he's ever played 30 minutes a game.
Yes. And when you see percentages go up, when the minutes go up, that's when the eyebrow goes up of oh, maybe there's something there. Because when the increased usage goes up, but you don't see efficiency drops, you don't see wear and tear, you don't see the things, the negatives that come along with that, those are the signs of being a guy who's got that development arc that can continue to kind of go up. So as it pertains to Denny, again, he's a guy that I really like, and I liked coming out, and I'm stunned they were able to get him off a Wizards team that's rebuilding. Doesn't make any sense. We have two other clips. One of them was about how he fits into a rebuilding team.
Yeah.
First of all, I understand that in the NBA, patience is a big part. I've seen teams that were not good and now they're top of the league. So I really believe this group can be there. And also, I was making sure that having kind of all the losing stuff won't get into me so much. Come every day, even though you're not in a really good spot in terms of seeds, but just come in, don't look at the record, just come and play as hard as you can and compete to win. For me, every win last year, even though we didn't win as much, was big time. Big time for our group, big time for me. And I'm trying to continue this culture here as well.
And that's the thing is, look, you can say what you want about Portland and how they're rebuilding and how the losing sucks. They haven't lost like Washington has in the entirety of their franchise.
There is a lot that he said right there that I think is why you bring in a guy like Denny Avdija, and you want to see that growth because, look, his contract is more than reasonable.
It's insane
for this franchise and where it's at. De-escalating.
Yes.
It goes down in value as the cap goes up in value.
Let's see what Jonathan Kuminga gets when he gets his new deal.
So you've got him, and what he just said is, I think, is poignant when people are talking about the guy we talked about earlier, right? Brandon Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
And who's in the final year of a deal, wants to get a supermax deal, Ingram does. And he's going to do everything he can to try and prove that he is worthy of that deal before next offseason. And on a rebuilding team, you can't have that mentality because he just talked about it. It's about growth, it's about competing, and it's about going out and trying to win every game possible. Not, hey, I want to pad my stat sheet and see where we are at the end of the night. Doesn't matter, win, lose, or draw. The Blazers are not going to be good.
No, intentionally so.
There is the next step is actually to see with our own eyes development of young talent, whether it is Denny or Scoot and Ryan Repair and Tumani Kamara, and like the list is very long.
Yes.
This roster is very young.
Cooper Flagg.
In the next year, Cooper Flagg, absolutely. But it's not about wins this year, and having somebody who is wired that way and willing to go through that, that is probably one of the more important pieces, is that maniacal work ethic that you were talking about. Those guys are able to compartmentalize the losing in the progress of how you are getting better and how you're improving in the long run, and not where you're at the beginning of the year, where you're at the end of the year, which still is not going to be a lot of wins.
And a big part of that is, making sure that you're keeping your mind and your body right. And Denny talked about how he stayed ready physically.
Definitely. I'm every day in the gym, weight room, treatment room, trying to get my body right. It's really important for me. I want to be there for the team in every game possible, bring my competitiveness, bring my joy to the game, and I feel like doing all the extra stuff around it really helps me do it, and that's my goal: play as many games as possible. I did 82 one year, and I'm gonna try to do it again.
So outside of the COVID year, he has played 82, 76, and 75 games.
That's pretty good. Pretty good.
If you're getting 75 plus out of guys in the NBA,
best ability is availability. I mean, Bronny's 1 for 2 in the summer league.
Yeah, already getting DNP rest for a swollen knee.
Yeah. No,
it's a tough scene.
You don't want to go down that road too early.
No. It's nice having Avdija in the building. When the trade is made, 2 weeks ago.
A+, fantastic interview out the gate though from Avdija. No red flags.
No, saying all the right things. I think people are going to love him. I genuinely think Portland is going to go crazy for him.
I hope we do
when they see him play. The way fans here have loved Rudy Fernandez, who kind of different players, but played with kind of a reckless abandon, and also a large portion of the population found him very attractive. I think that's going to happen with Denny too.
He's a handsome man.
He's a handsome man.
He's a handsome devil. Let's just hope he doesn't enter the dunk contest and get screwed.
Yeah, or Ariza's kid won't be in the league yet. Trevor Ariza's got a kid who'll be in the NBA. Well, maybe in 4 years he'll be able to undercut Denny and ruin his back.
Oh my gosh.
Deep cut there.
That is a deep cut. Trevor Ariza did do that to Rudy Fernandez.
And ruined his back. And basically it was the reason why Rudy ended up back in Spain.
Gosh, that sucks. Well, hey, times are good for Rudy. He's playing in the Olympics again.
6-time Olympiad, joining Diana Taurasi. It's the only ones.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
The only Hoopers to do that?
Yep. And Diana probably shouldn't be on the team this year.
That's very true. Well, should Rudy in Spain?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, he still got it.
I'm just asking the questions.
I watched Spain play the Bahamas over the weekend.
Of course you did.
Is he still a ways off from Oscar Schmidt's record 18 Olympics?
What?
The Brazilian guy.
Yeah.
Say what? I don't know who this is.
You've never heard of Oscar Schmidt?
No. Who's Oscar Schmidt?
John Jacob
Jingleheimer
Schmidt's brother?
Oscar
God dang it, I
Schmidt.
fumbled it.
He was the first biggest international Olympic superstar.
I got him now, basketball guy. Yeah, now I'm seeing it. Yep. Sorry, I didn't get your Oscar Schmidt
deep cut
reference there. Look, I got Trevor Ariza, Rudy Fernandez. It's asking a lot for the Brazilian basketball player who is now 66 years old, in his final Olympic Games. Oh, boy. Wow. He played a really long time.
Yeah.
How many Olympics did he play in?
I'm looking for it right now. All they have is the medals. Yeah. I'll have to get back to you on that.
We'll research that one. Coming up, we will wrap today's show with some disrespect from the Los Angeles Clippers towards playoff P.
Oh my gosh, he played on their national team from 1979 to 1996. Nope, 97. What?
28 years?
Yeah, that's a long time. That's a good run, bud.
7 Olympiads.
That's a good little run.
Can't believe I had you stumped with Oscar Schmidt.
Yeah, I can.
Damn.
I can.
Very
I saw his
Brazilian
face and I was like,
Oscar
yeah, I got
Schmidt.
it.
I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe Argentinian. Got him. All right. Like I said, we'll come back and have some.
Can't take you anywhere.
No, you can't. Some disrespect towards Paul George, or some apparent disrespect over some contract negotiations that led to a falling out. Coming up here on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan. Well, Paul George went full podcast P.
Potty P.
And potty P, maybe. what the Clippers did is they trickled it down their leg and not being able to keep Paul George together. But it sounds like
I see
that,
what you did
hey,
there.
they may not have wanted old Playoff P to be a part of the Clippers going forward, as he highlighted what the Clippers offered him.
Like the first initial deal was, I thought, kind of disrespectful, right? And again, in all of this, no hard feelings. So the first initial deal was like 2 years, 60. So I'm like, whoa.
Hey, that's crazy, bro.
That's
That's great.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
So I'm like,
wow,
no, I'm not signing that. This was maybe like October-ish. Negotiations first started, and it was 260. And as we kept going, it was like, they would go up, inches, to where it was like 44, 45, right? But this was like a couple months in between before we got it to 40-something. I'm still like, nah, I'm not doing that. Then I hear wind of like, what they're going to give Kawhi. So I'm like, just give me what Kawhi got. Like,
right.
Y'all view us the same. Like, we came here together. We want to finish this together. I'll take what Kawhi got. Like, no
cool
problem. I was cool with that. Like,
wow.
And we were still taking less. We were taking less. Kawhi took less. I was like, if Kawhi gonna take less, I'm not gonna say I want more than Kawhi. Like, I'm not gonna, like, it's not about me being paid more than him. Like, I'm gonna take what he got. Y'all give him that, give me that.
Okay, so $30 million a year for Paul George.
I would
not great, Bob.
I would love to just get this out here now. If our great employer Odyssey wants to pay me $30 million and wants to disrespect me in that way, they can
disrespect me, baby.
Please disrespect me in that way.
Tell you what, just disrespect all three of us and lump us all in that deal.
There's levels to this disrespect, and to a guy like Paul George and his value. I mean, we've talked about this at length. In that, you talk to young basketball players, who do they want to model their game after?
Paul George.
Paul George.
He is
an
it's an aesthetically pleasing game.
It is.
Paul George has a beautiful jumper. Like when he handles the ball, there's nobody his size or bigger that handles the ball better and cleaner than him. Like KD's got a great handle for a 7-footer, but he's not hezzy tween. Paul George is hezzy tween, like, and it's crisp, it's clean, and
very fluid player.
When he gets into his footwork is incredibly clean. He's explosive at the rim, like especially if you remember Paul George before he broke his leg. That was a dude that was Ant Edwards but bigger. He was dynamite at the rim. The way that Paul George has gone through this, and what I've been able to extrapolate from the background in discussions, is that the Clippers didn't want him back.
Yeah, I mean that's it right there. They couldn't. They made a choice.
Yeah.
They picked a path. We talk about this all the time. Organizations must pick a path. You're going to be right or you're going to be wrong. But just go down one of them. They're going down the wrong one. But they picked the path without Paul George.
And they do what all organizations do. Good, bad, otherwise. You paint the outgoing guy as the villain.
Yeah.
It's the CBA. It's the second apron. Paul made his decision. We tried to find a deal. It just didn't work.
Maybe that's why we had like a 4-page press release on the day that he was gone by Lawrence Frank.
Look, and if you want to go locally, neither Joe nor Dame wanted to be the bad guy. But that separation was coming. And so it went down that path. And you see this in sports all of the time. Tom Brady and Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick won how many Super Bowls together?
They won 6.
Okay. Was it a fun farewell when he left?
No.
No.
It was messy.
Yes. So there's like the whole idea, like that neither side is, and I love that Paul's like, everything's fine now. No, it's not. He's pissed at him.
And I mean, he's getting older. But at the same time, the fact of the matter is that their roster isn't young. And if you have a window, I would pick the guy that I think is the better player of the older guys. And I don't think they necessarily did.
No.
But I don't think they had a lot of buyers for anybody else outside of Kawhi.
But beyond that, it's also that they didn't want to be in the Paul George business in 4 years. And it's whether